Number 1.
An argument could be made that Ubisoft's Watch Dogs never quite managed to live up to its full potential. The original entry was a letdown, as the final product could not match the promotional material, while Legion's intriguing concept did not translate into a particularly engaging experience. Out of 3 projects, Watch Dogs 2 is arguably the pick of the bunch, although its mileage will vary from player to player. Featuring a gorgeous and colorful rendition of San Francisco, the 2016 release has probably the most impressive open world in the trilogy, and it is fun to just roam the streets and cause harmless mayhem with the occasional hack. Story-wise, Watch Dogs 2 can be divisive, especially its light-hearted tone. Still, the main missions provide plenty of interesting scenarios in their own right, and they are ultimately just a small part of the overall package. It should be said that Watch Dogs 2 slots almost perfectly into Ubisoft's open-world formula, which can be a deterrent for a lot of people who have grown tired of that structure. Nevertheless, it is a good representative of that formula.
For the cause. Distracting enough for you?
Barbarians are at the gate and ready to bust some Roman heads.
I have friends that would love to put DedSec behind bars.
You're fighting a war no one gives a shit about. You're so aggressive, so indignant. Oh, and there's a warrant out for your arrest.
It's time we stand together.
The numbers haven't stopped climbing.
And what are we gonna do?
Aim bigger.
Number 2.
Little Kitty, Big City is a bite-sized adventure set within a small but impressive map. As the eponymous feline falls from the safety of their home and finds themselves on the street, players have to jump, squeeze, and paw their way back to their window. While intended for a younger audience, Little Kitty, Big City is more than charming enough to keep older players entertained, especially since a playthrough should not require longer than a few hours. In a vacuum, the city map is very small since it essentially consists of one neighborhood. However, from the perspective of a cute cat, a single street is a massive metropolis filled with secrets, challenges, and potentially helpful animals. With straightforward controls and a focus on verticality, Little Kitty, Big City is an accessible and fun time that will likely hit the mark with cat lovers and haters.
Number 3.
I have apostles. I help the blind to see. I save souls.
Far Cry has become something of a love or hate franchise, but there is no denying that the games can be a lot of fun. The 5th entry is the only one available on Xbox Game Pass, and while it is not generally regarded as the license's peak, Far Cry 5 has plenty of positives in its favor. Set in Montana, the story follows a rookie marshal as they try to liberate the region from the manipulative clutches of Joseph Seed's cult. The large but not exhausting map is split into 3 parts, each one governed by a disciple of Joseph. While the gameplay loop remains largely the same within each area, the story missions reflect the main cult member's personality. Consequently, the campaign is repetitive but seldom boring. As has become a franchise staple, Far Cry 5's villains steal the show, and they are all wildly different from each other. Faith Seed is especially memorable, although Joseph is also charismatic enough to believably serve as the cult's idol. While not quite as diverse or exotic as some other settings in Ubisoft's series, Montana nevertheless serves as a fun sandbox.
Hang on, Eden's Gate would just go away.
Take away. What God gives,
no man.
Number 4.
State of Decay is kind of Microsoft's forgotten franchise. Undead Labs series was relatively present during the Xbox One's life, producing to games that garnered middling, but not terrible receptions. A third entry has been in development for a while, although information has been hard to come by for a couple of years. As dead as this zombie can seem at times, both entries are readily available on Game Pass, and they should be able to scratch a unique itch for people craving survival, base building, and group management mechanics. While the first title is decent, the sequel is the same but improved, so newcomers can just jump into State of Decay 2. Either way, the player will be occupied with largely the same gameplay loop. Although not devoid of a main story, SOD leaves players to their own devices, although that does not mean they are alone. A big part of the campaign is building, sustaining, and managing a community of survivors, consisting of characters who come with random traits. If one of these survivors dies, they are gone for good, adding an element of finality to progression. The game provides fairly consistent goals for players to work towards, but these can be ignored in favor of just exploring the expansive map in search of resources. Scavenging drives the action forward, as does the community management and base building elements.
I have apostles. I help the blind to see. I save souls.